A very warm welcome to Molesford Virtual Open Day, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jim Hamilton Smith. I'm Deputy Head Pastoral, and I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk you through how the event is going to run today. Firstly, just to say that with all things online, we hope that all will go smoothly, but please do bear with us through any technical hitches or delays. You will also see that we're all wearing these headsets, which gives us the unusual look of being air traffic controllers. But it does help us hear each other, and it helps us for you to hear us more clearly as well. Now, due to the numbers in the webinar, the settings don't allow us to see or hear guests, but you are very welcome to communicate with us via the chat function, which can be found on the edge of your screen in the controls. Sometimes at the top, sometimes at the bottom of your screen. If you want to locate those now, I'm going to share my screen with you to explain some of the different buttons. Please let us know via the chat box if there are any technical hitches or if you can't hear us, and we will endeavour to resolve things as quickly as possible. If you have any questions relating to the school, please use the Q&A function, also in your control panel, to type any questions. You can type your questions into the Q&A at any time as they occur to you, and they will then be answered live by relevant staff members after the presentations. Please note there is a box you can tick if you wish your questions to remain anonymous. And if we receive several similar questions, we will amalgamate them to avoid repetition, but we will make sure to answer as wide a range as possible. You may find it easiest to select Speaker View, an option normally at the top right of your screen, as opposed to Grid View. This will allow you to focus on each of us as we present. Please note that we are recording this event for use on the school website. However, this should not affect you as you will not be on camera and we are not able to hear you. I'm now going to share my screen again with you to outline the timetable for this morning. As you can see, we will start with a welcome from the headmaster. You'll then have the opportunity to hear from some of the members of the senior management team, meet the school registrar. There'll be a live Q&A, and also we have an online poll this morning. And the online poll is a great way for us to gain your feedback from the event, and we would be very grateful if you could complete the short multiple choice answers, which will appear on your screen at the given cue. Now, hopefully that gives you a good idea of how this morning will work. So I'm going to hand you over to the headmaster.
Very good morning to everyone, and I am Ben Beardmore-Gray, the headmaster here at Molesford Prep School. And by way of introduction, this is my 7th year as head of Molesford, and prior to Molesford, I was head of Moden Hall, a co-educational boarding school in Northumberland for 7 years. Before that, I was deputy head of Farley Prep School in Hampshire. My wife Sarah and I have 3 teenage children who've all been through prep school and who are now providing us with all sorts of different challenges through GCSEs, A-levels, and university entrance. I'm sorry we're not able to welcome you to the school in person on this occasion, but we very much hope you'll enjoy our virtual event and that it will give you a very good flavour of our very special school and community. I do hope that you've had an opportunity to watch our school tour video, but if not, you'll receive a link to watch it after this morning's presentation. Now, before I continue with a general overview, I'd like to highlight the exciting news we have shared with our community recently regarding the construction of a brand new state-of-the-art pre-prep to open in September 2022. This building will be home to a new venture for Molesford, a preschool for both boys and girls from the half term after they have turned 3. And then from reception onwards, the pre-prep is for boys only. And we'll share more information on the new pre-prep throughout our presentations. Now, I'd like to talk to you this morning about the ethos of Molesford to give you a really good feel for the school. Now, first, the most important aspect of Molesford is the pastoral side. Our primary aim is for happy and settled boys. And I work on the basis that if boys wake up in the morning and they're looking forward to coming to school, then they're going to thrive. The relationship between the school, boys, and parents is key. We want to nurture really good dialogue with you as parents so that you can pass on any information to us. The more we know about your boys, the better chance of them being settled. And we have various pastoral layers and structures all designed to support the boys. The role of the form head is very important, as is the head of year. And the deputy head pastoral, Jim Hamilton Smith, will tell you more about the pastoral side shortly. On the academic front, we have very high standards and expectations, but we are not an academic hothouse. Our aim is not simply to drill boys through how to pass exams. It's about creating a lifelong love of learning and curiosity, and to prepare boys for life in the 21st century. We redesigned our curriculum in 2017, and we thought very carefully about the skills boys need to flourish at their senior schools, universities, and in the workplace. Skills such as creativity, lateral thinking, teamwork, collaboration, resilience, ICT skills, communication skills, emotional intelligence, and empathy. Our extracurricular program links directly into the new curriculum in equipping boys for modern life. We have a very broad range of a program covering music, sport, art, drama, and outdoor pursuits. And we want boys to try everything. Over time, the boys will probably focus on 4 or 5 areas which they really enjoy, and it's all designed to build up their self-confidence and self-esteem. For example, the opportunity for a boy to grow in confidence by playing the trumpet in front of 100 people after just 2 months of tuition, or a boy working his way up the climbing wall levels having just started. In a school of 370 boys, manners, courtesy, and discipline are very important to us. And just like in the classroom, we have high standards and expectations. Our experience is, just like in the classroom, if you set the bar high, boys will rise to that bar. Inevitably, boys can get things wrong and step over the line. And when this happens, we sit them down. And the most important thing is we talk about what have they learned from the experience. Now, advising on senior schools is a key part of both my and the school's role. And I have individual meetings with all parents in year 5, and we talk through all the various options for their sons. We give totally independent and tailored advice for each boy. Molesford is not tied to any senior school, and on average, we're sending 54 boys to 14 different senior schools into year 9 every year. This works out as a split of roughly 50-50 between boarding and day. On the boarding front, the most popular schools would be Radley, Marlborough, Eton, Harrow, Wellington, St Edward's Oxford, Bradfield, or Stowe. And on the day front, both Abingdon and Magdalen College School are very popular, but both those schools are academically selective, and therefore they won't be right for every boy. Less selective schools, but still extremely good in the area, would be Pangbourne, Shiplake, the Oratory, and Cokethorpe. Now, we know that our boys are the best ambassadors for Molesford, and we're very sorry that you're not able to meet them in person today. We've recorded a short video so that you can hear what some of our Year 8 boys have to say about their school. Again, this link will be sent to you after the presentations. Now, as many boys begin life at Molesford as 4-year-olds, starting in reception at the moment in the pre-prep, but shortly starting in the preschool, I'd like to hand over to our head of pre-prep, Mrs. Sabrina McMahon.
Thank you very much, Headmaster. As you've heard, my name is Sabrina McMahon, and I'm the head of the pre-prep here at Molesford. I am a comparatively new member of the Molesford team, having joined the school a year ago. Before taking on pre-prep, I was the deputy head teacher at Trinity School in Henley, and before that, at Langley Hall Primary Academy. The pre-prep experience is a particularly special one for the boys. When they begin with us in reception at 4 years old, time is given to helping them familiarise themselves with the adults who will be supporting them, the learning environment, and of course, the boys in their class who will be staying with them throughout their journey at Molesford. Our daily approach centres entirely around the boys, their happiness and enjoyment of learning. The staff build nurturing relationships with the boys. This allows them to not only hold mature conversations during our family service at lunch, but to trust that they always have an adult to speak to should they require guidance or support. At this point, some photographs will be shared with you of our boys across pre-prep, experiencing the Molesford opportunities we hope your son can look forward to. The pre-prep curriculum is well-rounded and offers boys the chance to experience a wide range of subjects, many taught by specialist teachers. Class teachers, with the invaluable support of teaching assistants, lead all core subjects, such as phonics, English, maths, science, and topic. As a boys' school, we have the ability to tailor our lessons and learning experiences beyond the classroom to suit their interests to maintain maximum engagement with their learning. Beyond the core curriculum, the boys learn judo, PE, music, forest school, swimming, ICT, RE, global studies or modern foreign languages, art, and personal social health education. Reception class attend forest school weekly throughout the year, while years 1 and 2 alternate half-termly between swimming and forest school. Forest School develops confidence and self-esteem through learner-inspired hands-on experiences in a natural setting, which for Molesford boys is in Ibston Woods. The Forest School programme is ably led by 2 qualified members of the Molesford staff. In terms of daily logistics, we offer a full wraparound care programme. The pre-prep boys can arrive from 8 AM for Early Bird Club, where they'll sit quietly and read, talk with friends, or perhaps colour in. Otherwise, the day begins with boys arriving between 8:25 AM and 8:40 AM. At the end of the day, we run a full activities programme with options including bikeability, board games club, music and movement, play ball, golf or drama, which run until 4:15 PM. Should you require your son to stay at school later, we have late stay, which runs until 5:30 PM. As the headmaster has already mentioned, we have the big excitement of moving into a brand new building for September 2022. If you haven't already had the opportunity to look at the virtual tour of the new building, then please do have a look after this open day event. The link will be sent through to you. For the first time, Molesford will be opening a new preschool for boys and girls who have turned 3. From reception onwards, Molesford will continue to be for boys only, with 2 forms and classrooms per year group through reception, year 1 and year 2. The new classrooms and play areas have been specifically designed to provide all that is required for an early years and infant setting, including direct access to outside space for each year group. We'll have a multi-purpose hall with fold-up dining tables and benches for meal times, as well as music, drama and PE equipment. I do hope that's given you a good introduction to our pre-prep and where boys start at Molesford. But please do ask any questions via the Q&A box and I'll answer them when we pause. So, when the boys leave us at the end of year 2, they're well prepared for life in the prep school. I'll now hand you back to the headmaster.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. And following the introduction about the new pre-prep building, I'd just like to add a few words about the knock-on benefits to boys in the prep school from year 3 to 8 of this exciting new pre-prep. The new pre-prep will free up lots of space for the boys in years 3 to 8 on our current site. The prep school boys will gain 5 additional classrooms as well as playground areas, and we're considering very carefully how these areas will be redeveloped for the prep school boys. Priorities at the moment include a new library, a learning support hub, cookery classrooms, and a well-being hub for the boys. I'm now going to hand over to our Deputy Head Academic, Mrs. Tiffany Squire, who's going to tell you more about the boys' onward journey into the prep school in year 3 and beyond.
Good morning. My name is Tiffany Squire. I'm the Deputy Head Academic and Director of IT. I've been at Molesford for 11 years and in position as Deputy Head for just over 4 years. My husband is also at Molesford and is, amongst other things, the Forest School leader, Forest School being one of the areas that Sabrina has just been talking about. We have a son at Molesford who is currently in year 2, and you may have seen our bearded collie in pictures. He's Bosun and he's also known as the Forest School dog. To give you an idea of the school structure from year 3 upwards, boys in year 3, 4 and 5 are largely class taught, as we believe that this is important for them to have this consistency. They do go to specialist teachers for subjects such as ICT, DT, music and art. Higher up the school, the boys are streamed and are put into 3 forms, which consists of 1 upper form and 2 core. Maths is also set at this point in order to ensure that lessons are pitched at the pace that every boy needs. We get to know the boys really well during their time in year 3, 4 and 5 and pre-prep if they've come through Molesford, and we are therefore well placed to make decisions about the best place to put them in year 6. At the end of year 6, we make a decision about whether the boys should follow the scholarship route into their chosen senior school or the CE route. Our curriculum for core subjects is based on the national curriculum for Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3, and this prepares them well for pre-tests for senior schools. In non-core subjects, we have developed our own curriculums. In all subjects, we focus on what we call soft skills, as well as the acquisition of subject knowledge. These include creativity, communication, independence, resilience, collaboration, leadership, and presentation, to name but a few. Exams open the door to opportunity, but it is these softer skills which could define success in the workplace for your boys in the 21st century. Should your son need extra support, we have a very good learning support department who are able to provide your son with one-to-one lessons should this be necessary, and they also run group interventions. We have our own super curriculum designed for boys who need stretching and challenging, but this is accessible to all. We don't forget those children who are in the middle ground. We believe that it is important for all boys to find their niche and pursue their passions. Staff meet regularly to discuss the boys' progress from a pastoral and academic perspective. The school is very well equipped with IT resources, and we use Google Classroom and the Google Education Suite. This enabled us to slip seamlessly into online learning during lockdown. Each boy in year 4 to year 8 has an iPad, and we have 2 computer rooms equipped with Macs. I hope that this has given you a good overview of the academic side of life at Molesford, but please do feel free to ask questions via the Q&A, and I will answer them when we pause. I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Jim Hamilton-Smith, who you met at the beginning, and who's going to tell you more about the pastoral care at Molesford.
Hello again. As Mrs. Squire said, I am Jim Hamilton-Smith, Deputy Head Pastoral here at Molesford. I teach science presently, as well as games across all the year groups. I've been here for almost 9 years, and before that I worked at Caldecott Prep School. I have a son who's been through Molesford from reception, and I have a stepson who also started in year 3. Just to top it all off, I was actually a pupil here myself some years ago. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the pastoral side of Molesford, and we'll share some slides as I go. As the headmaster said, the main goal is for all boys to be happy at Molesford. And in order to help achieve this, we make sure we really know every child as an individual. We do this firstly by having a form tutor for each boy who will have a good deal of contact time with your son and will see him regularly through the day, especially at form time and registration times. The first point of contact for parents is the form head, who is then supported by a head of year. The heads of year meet on a weekly basis with myself and the headmaster to go through pastoral and academic issues that may arise. In addition, our boarding house forms an integral part of our pastoral life, with boarding staff living on site and available to assist boys out of normal school hours. The school matron also plays an important role, not just to help with the bumps and the bruises, but also on as another person to see, talk to and share any concerns that the boys may have. Indeed, the boys themselves play an important part as well. Boys coming into year 3 are buddied up with a year 7 boy to help them find their feet and keep an eye out for them around school and during free time. And finally, you as parents play a very important role too, and we find open lines of communication very important to help us all work together to support your sons and help them achieve their full potential. The well-being of the boys is of utmost importance, and we regularly carry out well-being surveys with the boys and with the staff in order to identify any general areas or individual pupils who need support. Staff have been trained in mental health first aid. We have a qualified teacher delivering mindfulness courses to year 3 pupils, and all staff are embarking on an online mental health and wellbeing CPD course at present. We also have a school counsellor who comes into school every Friday to see boys either through an arranged appointment or on an ad hoc basis. Now, boys obviously respond well to positive encouragement, and the school reward system allows the boys to earn house points for good behaviour, kindness, and for effort. This goes towards a running total for points within the house competition, which, as you can imagine, is hotly contested each term. I would like to mention Molesford's determination to bring both sustainability and diversity into focus as a key and current concerns for the whole school community. An eco group has recently been established across both the staff and school eco prefects to look at how the school operates and to identify ways in which we could reduce our carbon footprint. We're also very aware that South Oxfordshire is not very broad in terms of social diversity. Through our Learning for Life programme and via assemblies and our religious studies curriculum, we look to broaden the minds of both the staff and boys to ensure that the school's approach is one of inclusivity and tolerance. Finally, I will just return to what the headmaster said earlier. It is most important to us that your boys are happy at Molesford. and happiness is one of the 5 core values we have here at school. The happiness of the boys, the opportunities that they experience, the community that they are a part of, the support that they give to each other, all help to develop the well-rounded young man who leaves Molesford at the end of year 8. Now, I hope that gives you some indication of the nurturing side of Molesford community and how ultimately our primary aim is for boys to be settled, have fun, and enjoy coming to school. I'm now going to hand you back to the headmaster.
Thank you, Jim, Tiffany, and Sabrina. And I'd now like to introduce you to Jill Moran, who is our registrar and your point of contact for any queries relating to admissions.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to Molesford. My name is Jill Moran, and I'm the registrar here. It is my job to guide you through the admission process from the first telephone call or email right through to your boys joining the school, and to make this process as smooth as possible for you. If you're interested in your son joining any year group, please contact me as soon as possible so that we can establish if we have a place available and I can talk you through the process. If you require a place in the new preschool for your son or daughter, or reception class for your son, please register him with us as soon as possible. Registration forms can be downloaded from our school website, or I can send one out to you if you give me a call or drop me an email. All my contact details can be found on the website. I'd love to hear from you with any admissions questions you may have, so please do ask in the live Q&A session or give me a call. I look forward to hearing from you soon, but for now, I'll hand you back to the headmaster.
Thank you, Jill. And I'd now like to open the floor for our Q&A session, where you're invited to type and send any questions for any of the staff here today via the Q&A button on your control panel, as well as those you've already heard speaking so far. We also have with us today Mr. Jamie Noble, our head of boarding, and Mrs. Laura Wood, who is a current parent, and all of us are very happy to answer any of your questions. So I'll read your questions out, and then each of us will answer them verbally so that we can all hear our answers. A reminder that you can tick the anonymous box before submitting your question if you prefer. So I'm just going to have a look at the first questions coming in. So this question is, what is the expected intake of new boys into year 3? It would be good to know this for September 2021 and September 2022. Yes, very, very good question. Okay, so for this year 3 coming this September, I think it's about 4 or 5 new boys who are currently joining that year group. So we've got a large group of boys coming up from our year 2. So I think it's 44 coming up from our year 2, and they're going to be joined at the moment by roughly 5 coming into year 3. And then for the following year, I think we will have about 28 boys coming up from our year 2. And Jill, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the numbers coming into year 3 are going to be a bit bigger. I think it's about, well, over to you. You've got the numbers.
For 2022, it will be a bit bigger. The reason why they're less this year is because we actually added in another class into year 2 for last year. So hence the year 2 coming up to year 3 for 2021 entry is so much larger.
Yeah, so so coming into 2022, I think it's going to be about 13 or 14 boys, probably a few more. Next question, what are the typical class sizes? Yeah, again, really, really good question. Okay, so Molesford classes tend to be in the region of 15 to 18, those kind of numbers. They vary from year to year. Quite often in the pre-prep, some of the class sizes can be smaller. So in reception, because it's our first year, the current reception is 15, but I think it actually started off the year at about 12 and it's sort of grown. And then as we go through the school, more boys join. So Most classes are, say, about 15 to 18. We do have, on occasion, some classes that are slightly bigger. So we have got a class of 20 at the moment in year 1, but that's for very specific reasons. That class is 20 is because families relocated out of London at very short notice due to the pandemic. And we have put additional teaching support into that class. Right, we have a question about prep. Is prep usually done at school or at home? I'm going to hand this over to Tiffany Squire. Over to you, Tiffany.
Hello, I thought this was coming my way. So it depends on where the boy is in the school, but we do actually have prep sessions built in throughout the day, the teaching day, as well as a prep session for boys after school as well. Invariably, there'll be boys that need to go home early, perhaps, and can't attend those prep sessions before they do activities, and so therefore do find that they need to do some prep during the day. There are ongoing preps, so things that are regular that need to be done during the week, and again, if they have the opportunity to do that in school, then many boys do, but it depends really on the family makeup and what the boys need to do during the week. In terms of boarding, so if your son is boarding, then there are prep sessions built in to the evening as well, and then higher up the school, invariably there will be that little bit more prep for the boys to complete as well, particularly as they come to taking common entrance and scholarship exams. So the answer is a little bit of both, but we completely understand that for some boys it depends on their sort of family and their needs, really.
Thank you very much, Tiffany. Now we have a boarding question. So I'm going to hand this one over to Jamie Noble, our head of boarding. And the question is, please could you tell me how many boys board and generally in which year groups do they start?
Thank you, Headmaster. So we have 35 beds in the boarding house, and our model is that boys can board on either a Monday and a Tuesday or a Wednesday and Thursday, or they board for all 4 nights. With that flexi boarding model, it enables us to have more than the 35 boys boarding over the course of a term. And we tend to be busiest in the summer. So typical numbers on average in the boarding house in the autumn term, the first term of the year, would be sort of 30 to 35, and then it builds through the course of the year. At present, we have 50 boys boarding. It tends to be older boarders. That's not to say that we can't look after younger boarders as well. Typically, boys may start from year 5, and then the numbers boarding per year group tends to increase as we go up the school, particularly boys who might go on to senior boarding schools, but also actually boys who come into board for other reasons. A very common reason just being that they really enjoy being here and the camaraderie of being with their friends. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Jamie. Now, the question's coming in about eating and social situations in the pre-prep. So this one is coming for Sabrina. And the question is, it's about daily routines. So eating, social situations like lunch and snacks. How is this arranged, particularly in the pre-prep? Over to you, Sabrina.
So we try to bring the boys together as much as possible. Of course, in the last year, this has been hindered somewhat. But generally speaking, our daily routine, the boys have a morning snack, lunch and afternoon snack throughout their day. They have their snack times socially together in their class before they then go and join the rest of pre-prep for playtime. When it comes to lunchtime, we have a family service, which means that the boys will sit in tables together with their classes, and an adult will join them on their table, serve them lunch, and they'll have a social time talking to their friends as well as the adult. Of course, we haven't been able to do it this year, but under usual circumstances, the pre-prep boys will play together in the same playground space, sort of nurturing and guiding each other throughout those periods of time.
Thank you, Sabrina. Now it's a question for Mr. Hamilton-Smith. So who is the lead or the key person for our children, and what are their qualifications, and how many children do they lead on?
So I think that one's looking at pre-prep as well as the senior school, but I'll give an overview from the senior school. Obviously, as mentioned earlier, we have the setup is form heads are very much the first point of contact with the pupils. As I say, the school is very much all about knowing each individual pupil. So we have forms which are on average between sort of 16 or 18 in number. So a form head will have daily contact with those boys in his or her form. Certainly form time at the moment is slightly longer, again, as Mrs. McMahon alluded to with COVID. The sort of arrangement times in the morning mean that boys are coming a little bit earlier, so they actually have some more contact time with their form heads, which is actually a real positive. They will also have registration and reading time together in the afternoons as well. And so that's sort of from the senior point of the school. Within the pre-prep, should I hand that one back to Sabrina for pre-prep?
Please do, yes.
Yeah, in terms of key workers for the boys, obviously in the preschool setting, we are yet to a point. It's obviously really early in the journey for us on that, but your child will be allocated a key person. There will be somebody that takes the lead in the preschool environment, as well as our reception teacher. The reception teacher oversees all of the boys, but works in really close communication with her teaching assistant. And that teaching assistant is full-time. So between the two of them, they have an incredibly thorough understanding of the children that they work with. And of course, when it comes to the preschool, you will know who that key worker is at the relevant time. And that will be the person that would be your first point of contact relating to your son or daughter.
Thank you, Sabrina. Right, the next question, which is one I'm going to take. Please, could you elaborate on how the school helps parents choose the right senior school? Okay, so this is a really, really important part of what Moulsford offers, and so I'm sort of fairly well. I'm key in this, but with Mrs. Squire. So we'll start off. So year 6 and year 7 are the really, really important years for this, because this is when pre-tests are happening. So we're very keen that parents are thinking extremely carefully about senior schools in year 5, and we have a meeting with all the parents in year 5. In a normal year, it would be in a theatre. This year, we held it online, and we talk parents through the process over the next couple of years for senior schools. We'll also at that meeting have a senior school head who will come and just give an overview of what parents might want to be thinking about senior schools. So in January, we had Nikki Huggett, who's the head of Cheltenham College. In previous years, we've had the warden of Radley, the head of Abingdon. So it tends to be a school that we have a connection with. After that meeting, I will then have individual meetings with every single parent in year 5. Those meetings go on, they're roughly half an hour, 45 minutes. And prior to that meeting, I would have gathered a whole lot of information from the staff relating really to all aspects of your son. So from the pastoral and the social side to the academic. We'll have the conversation with, I'll have that conversation with parents. We'll talk about a broad range of skills. We'll come up with a strategy. And then we are there to guide parents through the process over the next 18 months, 2 years. And so both myself and Tiffany are in constant touch, I would say, with about 70 to 80 sets of parents who just need a bit of ad hoc advice on that journey, having had those meetings in year 5. And of course, if we need more meetings, which we often do, that can very easily be arranged as well. Okay, on to the next question. So will the pre-prep boys come over to the prep site? And if so, how often and what for? Yeah, good, very good question. I'll start by answering and then just maybe hand over to Sabrina if she just wants to add anything to it. Essentially, the pre-prep site will be self-contained in that everything is there for them in the building. So they have their own big hall, they have lunch there. There's going to be a wonderful playground space for the boys and some open field as well. the boys will come over to the prep school site for use of the sports hall, for some of our ICT facilities, and particularly when they're in year 2, just to get them used to the transition into year 3. And we will, we are very much remaining as one school, even though we will be on 2 separate sites, but the 2 sites are extremely close to each other, and there will be shared teaching. So a number of the prep school staff will go and teach the boys over in the pre-prep. Would you like to add anything to that, Sabrina?
I think you've covered most of it. Yeah, just to reinforce really that the specialist teachers remain at the pre-prep's disposal as a font of information and resource, and that it's been a huge part of our conversation of preparing for taking a step to the new pre-prep build is about the cohesion between the sites and the unity, so the boys always feel like they're a part of what Molesford stands for.
Thank you very much. Now, we've got time for a few more questions, and I can see there are some questions still there, which we'll come back to in a moment. But we'd like to share with you an online poll to help us understand how you found today's event, so we can improve for future virtual open days. And in a moment, you will see an inset screen, which will ask you 3 short questions to which multiple choice answers are provided. We'd be very grateful if you just take a few moments to read and answer them before we return to the final questions. Thank you very much. I can see the answers coming in. I'll just wait a few more moments for anyone else to complete the survey. That's great. And we are extremely grateful for your feedback. So thank you very much. Now, back to the final few questions. Now, this is a question about IT and social media. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Tiffany Squire to answer this one. So what is your approach to the boys' use of online resources and awareness of social media use misuse?
So first of all, we absolutely embrace the use of online resources, and there are, as you may well have found when you were when you were teaching yourselves, your children, there's a lot of things out there. We are believers that it needs to be effective use of online resources. So as I say, there's a lot out there, but not all resources are created equally. And it's important that, teachers are informed and understand which of those are really useful, and in the same way, parents and boys as well. So we are a Google apps for education school. So we use Google Classroom, use the Google Suites for education, and that has been the case for many years before lockdown actually happened. And again, it's about using those tools effectively. Throughout the school, we have subject specific online resources that we use as well. But again, it's all about a sort of effective use of those. We are firm believers that a lot of the resources are not replacements for traditional methods. So the fact that the boys have got access to IT, they've got their iPads, it's not a replacement, but it does enhance those particular subject areas. In terms of social media use and misuse, this is absolutely a key area, and e-safety education is part of the IT curriculum as well as part of the LFL curriculum as well. And so all through the school, there are basically lessons, and there are sort of guidance from staff in terms of sort of using the internet safely, and the consequences of actions online as well. We use Be Internet Awesome, which is a Google program. We also use Think You Know. We use all sorts of different programs of events. We have an e-safety officer who comes in annually to talk to the boys in year 6, 7 and 8. And the reason that we continue to use him each year is because he is fantastic. He comes at things he basically does workshops with the boys, and he doesn't come at things with the kind of perspective of the internet is a dangerous place and games are wrong, and he talks to the boys and he completely understands that the online world is quite often their world, and talks to them actually about their behavior and what the impact of their behavior might be. In Year 8, I do a series of lessons with all of Year 8 boys, which focuses on digital citizenship. So again, we focus on all of these sorts of areas, so social media, and also looking at sort of on ahead to when they're at college, when they're at their next school, when they're actually in the workplace as well, and the impact of their behaviour now and how that might impact them in the future. We look at all sorts of concepts in Year 8, such as pornography, such as sexting. We look at tracking, we look at the monetization of tracking. So take it incredibly seriously and dedicate a lot of the IT curriculum time to covering those issues.
Thank you very much, Tiffany. Now, next question I'm going to ask Laura Wood to answer, who's a current Moulsford parent. So are there many opportunities for parents or families to get to know each other in normal, non-COVID times? Over to you, Laura.
In short, there are loads of opportunities. Every year group has a form rep or a couple of form reps who organise small events, coffee mornings, basically just keep you all in touch and to make sure that if there's a new parent that starts midway through the year, that they're included in everything. And then we have a parents association who organise lots of larger events. The headmaster's quiz, we've had comedy nights. The summer ball is always a firm favourite and the tables sell out in about 2 hours. And it's it's a very vibrant community and there's loads and loads of opportunities, and it's sort of as you can give as much or as little as you want. But certainly the friends I've made are going to be the friends for life, I think. So that's nice.
Thank you very much, Laura. So thank you for some excellent questions, and we hope that you found the whole event really informative and helpful. And please don't hesitate to contact Jill Moran, the registrar, if you have any follow-up questions to today, or if you'd like to book a further meeting or visit to Moulsford. And as mentioned before, we'll send you a follow-up email with links to some videos for you to watch in your own time, including one of our Year 8 boys in conversation. We do hope you enjoy hearing their honest thoughts about Moulsford. I'd also like to draw your attention to a brand new 3D virtual reality tour of the new pre-prep building, as well as a tour of the existing buildings, both of which are available on the website for all future visitors. These links will be emailed to you, and you can take yourself on a 3D virtual tour around the school buildings, in and out of the classrooms, watching videos along the way. We'd like to say one final thank you for attending our virtual open day today, and we look forward to meeting you and welcoming you to Moulsford soon. Goodbye all, and we'll now close the meeting.